All right. So good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining us this morning for this outstanding presentation. You'll learn things that you really, really think you know, but you don't know. So we welcome again to Cascade BMA Learning and Development Experience. And today we have such a wonderful, wonderful presentation that I've experienced several times, and it just gets better. And so I just want to let you know again, from sketch to success. And so now I'd like to introduce to you our president, Bobby Powell. You'll take it from here, Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich, and good morning, everyone. And welcome to this wonderful, wonderful presentation that we are about to experience. Even if you have had an opportunity to read the bios of this dynamic couple, Melford and DJ McRae, their background is so compelling that I ask you to please bear with me as I share their story. When they first relocated to Atlanta, they sought out a new church home in little of no time at all. And they also, because of their community consciousness, wanted to find out about community organizations that they could get involved in. And we are so pleased at Cascade BMA that we were one of the first organizations that they joined. So as you bear with me, I would like to start by introducing Melford. Melford is a highly accomplished creative leader with a diverse and impactful career spanning advertising, music, and sports. Based right here in the ATL, he currently serves as the founder and creative director of M13 Creative and as the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer at LTPP. He also contributes his expertise as a board advisor to us right here at Cascade BMA, as well as the Atlanta Airport Chamber. Melford's journey began in New York City after his military service in 1991. He quickly immersed himself in the advertising world, spending over 15 years honing his skills at prestigious global agencies like TBW, Chat, Day, Fallon, Bozell, and Lowe. And please excuse me if I've mispronounced any of these words with my accent here. This experience led him to create impactful campaigns for more brands like Apple, BMW, United Airlines, and Time Magazine, demonstrating his ability to deliver compelling content across diverse industries. In 2004, Melford ventured into the world of music videos in Los Angeles, collaborating with some of the biggest names in the industry. He worked on projects for iconic artists like Kanye West, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Lil Wayne, G Unit, Rick Ross, and Neo, showcasing his versatility and ability to capture the essence of diverse musical styles. His talent for creative storytelling and production caught the attention of Fox Networks in 2007, leading him to create promotions for the NFL, the NBA, UFC, and the MLB. His work on major events like the MLB World Series and the NFL Super Bowl for Fox Sports Networks garnered his team multiple Gold Pro Max awards and a BAFTA nomination, solidifying his place as a top creative force in sports media. Beyond Fox, Melford and 39's talents were also recognized by Disney and Disney XD, where he created engaging promos, live action shows, trailers, and animations for the network. Melford's diverse experience, passion, and creativity, proven track record of success have made him a respected leader in the creative industry. So yes, Melford. I would say based on our experience even here at Cascade BMA, both you and DJ from day one, you guys we've benefited, from your creativity. And we're very grateful to have you both as part of our team. So now on to his lovely wife. DJ is also a force to be reckoned with. She is the managing partner of LT Printing and Promotion and the account manager at M13 Creative Media, where she oversees all accounts and projects for the two entities. DJ started her corporate career in New York City at 19, working alongside PR mogul Terry Williams, where she was a public relations assistant to Ms. Williams, to her agency. This led her to work with Russell Simmons, Def Jam Recordings at his pinnacle time in the music industry as an A&R assistant. She then moved on to the advertising world and worked for boutique agencies such as FCB, Fallon, remember that name from Melford's career, and the Arnell Group over 10 years. DJ then returned to her first love, working with children. She took a position as assistant to the headmaster at an all-boys choir school, the award-winning St. Thomas Choir School for Boys. DJ holds a master's degree in student counseling from National University, where she graduated with honors and is on the principal's list. She was born in Philadelphia and raised in Los Angeles, California, but spent 19 years in New York, where she met the love of her life, her spouse, and her partner, Melford. As a loving mother to a sophomore in high school and a freshman in college, I see you, Melford. DJ always looks to see where help is needed and jumps right in. She is a true team player, and that is the straight truth. Now I turn the floor over to the two who can turn your sketch into success. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Melford and DJ McRae.
Cheer, cheer.
Awesome.
Bobby, thank you so much. I need to take you with me wherever I go.
All right,
Well,
let's
thank
get
you
it
so much
going.
for having us. We are really excited to be here giving this webinar on logo design more specifically. So let's just jump right in. Uh-oh. Is the control not working? Okay, here we go. So here's some of the products that we share. We actually focus on 4 capabilities, which is signage, promo, printing, and apparel. So those are the 4 capabilities that we have our niche in. Remember, niches get the riches. So what is a logo? We all know what a logo is. Every company has it. Every brand has it. Some of us are tried and true to some of the brands and the logos just because we like the colors, we like what it represents, what the brand represents, and the other things that come along with that. So the definition of a logo basically is just a mark or a symbol, emblem, icon, something that recognizes the individual or company's commercial brand, an economic or academic entity. We all know the Georgia Bulldogs, go Bulldogs, if you're in Georgia. And then we want to talk about, this is where M13 really comes in and gives us a really consistent, simple, versatile logo that you want to represent your company with or your brand with. And everybody can read here. So it's really just an easily recognizable, something that's a good logo is easily recognizable. Sorry about that. And it also helps inspire confidence and loyalty on the part of the consumer. We all know that there's, like I said, there's brands that we fully trust, probably since we were a child, that our mothers or parents or grandparents use. So we still kind of go with that. Like I know I use Heinz ketchup because my grandmother used it, not just because it tastes better than Hunt's or anything like that. But so what is a brand? Kind of jumped ahead of myself. So we like to say that you define your brand or the world will define it for you. It's a set of expectations, memories, stories, relationships, And you take that into account for the consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another, like my Heinz over Hunt's. It's merely just a sum total of how much extra people will pay or how often they choose the expectations, memories, stories, relationships of one brand over the alternatives. Logo history. I'm going to let Melford go into this. So he's going to talk about the logo history.
So logo history is very interesting when we talk about logos. What we look at is the corporate logo that we all understand and know. These all come from things that we've seen in past history. So since 7600 BC, we've seen things like seals. In 3000 BC, we jump into, Mesopotamia, we see other stampings on pottery and to kind of brand the pottery, if you will. We can move forward. The next slide, you start seeing things like the Masonic symbol, which most of us recognize as a logo that's been created since 800 AD. Moving forward, we see coat of arms, things like watermarks and Bibles. You keep moving forward. And we get to 1870, where we see the first corporate logo. This is the actual first, what we call, air quote, corporate logo, because they're using some of the things we use now. Symbolization, things like pyramids, which, kind of, if you will, showcase power. Things like square kind of showcase balance and symmetry. Rounds usually showcase, fluidity and that sort of thing. And then you also have color theory, and we'll go into that later. So you'll start to see, as time goes on, logos start to evolve. And I think that's it for history. So we'll jump right into the 4 logo types. First type is a letter mark, and it's simply just what it is. It's a letter mark. Letter marks are exclusively typographic. The symbol represents the company through the use of its initials or its brand letter. Sometimes it can be names like obviously Bobby was trying to say one of the first companies I worked at was Chiat Day, and that's 2 companies or 2 names, Chiat, John Chiat, Jay Chiat, and Dave, that merged, became one company. And I eventually was working with those guys. That was probably like a 200-person company. And then a European company, TBWA, and those were also initials. And they merged with Chiat Day. So it became TBWA Chiat Day. Very, very long. But people have learned to shorten all these things since then. And even Chiat Day has learned to shorten that name. So letter marks are a great way from people going from Hewlett-Packard, which you guys remember used to be a long name, and they used to print that on everything. Same thing with General Electric, used to be a very long, I still have a General Electric panel in my machine room, and now it's just GE, and we can keep going with other marks. So the next mark is a word mark, and that's just pretty much what you guys see. It's a word mark, like Sears, like J.C. Penney. It's actually a real word, and what we call a word mark. Usually, sometimes it can be a name, but it's a word. And there's some interesting notes and things that you start to see, symbolization and some secrecy involved in some of these names. I don't have control of the screen, so you can't see my mouse, but go back to that one. Go back to the last slide, please. In Disney, I'm going to showcase to you that there's a 666, and DJ can show you the 6. The first D is a 6, the I is a 6, and the Y has a 6 in it, and that's obviously 666. I'm not going to go into how dastardly Disney is, but there's a lot of little tricks that people put in their marks and logos. So that's a word mark. Combination mark is a little bit of both. Sometimes people use this as a symbol and a word. And you guys, I like the word mark, but as you see, there will be powerful brands that use all of these marks. Some people just use one mark or another mark. Some brands go to all of them. They use word marks, combination marks, and letter marks. So you guys,
some of those brands, some of those brands have become so popular that they don't even have to use the word anymore. Like Adidas is all about the 3 stripes, so that's 3-stripe life, basically.
And that's part of branding, and that's what the logo is for. So if you go back to the prior slide, in the Pittsburgh Zoo, if you guys look really carefully, it's designed. I mean, a tree is this is something that it would be very hard to put on the left chest to really get the details of the innards of that tree, the knockout part, if you will, of that tree. So we don't recommend like complicated logos like this, but this is a very beautiful logo, if you will. There's a gorilla in the left side, if you call that, just call it the white knockout portion of the tree. And on the right side is a tiger. If you can see that, can you see that, Bobby?
Yes.
It's
I
really
think
Lady
interesting.
Tiger.
this is the one that was so intriguing to me when you did this presentation before, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never would have seen that had you not pointed it out.
Right. There's
This
so
is how
many,
creative people can be. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yes.
and kind of embed the soul, or you embed certain things into your brand, into your mark, if you will. Adidas, obviously triumphant, using the triangles. Toblerone obviously has a bear inside of the mountain there, synonymous. And so that's a combination mark. And the last mark you guys are very familiar with is a emblem. And emblem logo encases the company name within the design. And emblems are purely like we go back to how long these marks and brands have been in play. They go back, these are really shields, like the old school shields that you would put as in battle, and you would start that shield with your banner or your flag. This is simply going back to those same notions of marking your territory, if you will. Starbucks uses the emblem. NFL Brinks truck uses the emblem. Obviously, Brinks truck security. So, this is the kind of thing you want to think about when you're creating your brand.
And building
One of these
trust.
marks you want to use. So we have two other areas. This is a symbol. These are not necessarily a icon. I mean, I would consider it more an icon than it is a logo. It's just a icon, but it's a symbol, and you see many companies use it. Next is a mascot, and you see a lot of companies use mascots, obviously, in their branding as well.
The M&Ms actually came to life over a course of time. And Mr. Peanut has changed his outfit a few times, his spats and his top hat.
I'm a big fan of those M&Ms. Being
So
Melvin.
I'll go into the hidden logos of some meanings.
Yes, absolutely. So hidden logos, that's the really fun part. You guys can see Amazon is one of our favorite brands. What they did with their logo is you can see everything from A to Z and the smiling face underneath it all. I mean, does that not tell you everything about Amazon, the customer service that you get from Amazon? I mean, I've returned things
Quickly, you get
4
your
months back,
items.
4 months down the road, and I still get great customer service from that. That's one thing, and efficient service as well. So you see that's embedded in the smile, and the smile now goes a long way. They use it in football. The guys are doing this in football when they catch it, when Amazon Prime hosts Thursday night games and things like that. So branding goes a very long way. Next one is hidden arrow, and that's this arrow pointing in between the E and the X of the FedEx logo here. Obviously, arrow moving forward, or is it forward? I don't know which direction we're looking in the camera, but yeah, that's pretty ingenious to put a negative knockout design into the logo. Pretty self-explanatory. You guys see the
Yes.
31 in there?
That
And
was a fun one
I've been going to
also.
Baskin Robbins since we were kids to pick out, whatever the mints and all that. It was always great to go in there.
Mhm.
It was so funny because I never called it Baskin and Robbins. I always said it was 31 flavors. So we had those a lot in California. But
Okay.
it was always 31 flavors to me, never Baskin and Robbins. I was like, who's that? So
So hence you guys see there's a word mark and a letter mark that can be used here at the same time, or
Mhm.
synonymously or separately. Starbucks uses the word mark, the emblem, both, they use it all. Cisco's very interesting. They were created in San Francisco, so they designed the bridge with, this dot matrix that you see, and it's a power company and internet company. So it's really interesting how they designed that, the San Francisco bridge in mind. And my fonts, this one is really creative because this is very stylized. This is something that it's not like a standard font that generally people will see or use. This is very stylized, and the my creates
Like
a
a hand.
hand with the M and the Y. It's very interesting. Like, it's very,
Mhm.
Very cool way, and you can see that work on in so many ways. The test for a logo, so I can give you everyone a little technique or a trick is to really be able to put your logo on the side of a matchbox, something really small. Nothing like something like this. It needs to fill on the left chest. Sometimes your logo needs to be able to fit on a pen, but you have to be able to have a versatility in your brands and be able to stretch it to use it on many things on hats, pens, things that are wide and flat, websites, they all, carry different spaces. And so you need some versatility in your branding.
And it needs to be legible more than anything else so that everyone knows what your brand is.
Right. Brand guidelines are very important. So evolution of a brand, this is also very important. Your brand can evolve over time. So this is one of the brands we worked on. I worked on early in my career, and right away, the company itself, which was Apple, created a horrible logo, and they got with Shy
Wait,
Day before they. Oh, go
question.
back. I'm sorry.
Bobby, do you even know what that is?
I'm
The
trying
first
to
logo in
see.
$1976?
I was trying to see. It almost looks like, from the Bible, the serpent. And the apple where Eve and Adam ate the apple, took a bite out of the apple. I mean, to me, that's what I see.
I really wish it was that biblical and that religious, but however, it is Isaac Newton where the apple fell on his head and he got an epiphany and idea. It's so hard to read. It's horrible. It says Apple Company around it.
And many
Oh,
people
see,
do this.
I can't read that at all.
You can't
And
read
to
it at
me, what
all.
I'm seeing is like a snake is kind of like engraved around or
Oh,
embedded in
wow.
there, and then like the top portion. Can you see? I don't know if you can see my
Yeah.
moving or
This is
not.
Newton. This
Yeah,
is
he's
Newton
sitting.
right here. This is
Oh, now I
Mr.
see
Newton.
that. Now I
This is a
see that.
tree,
Yeah.
and he's sitting on a rock, and the
Uh-huh.
apple fell on his head.
That's a
Yeah,
good idea. I'll update the presentation to have a bigger version of that for people to see. But you can see that people pour their soul into the making of a brand, and this is what they did. They want to create this the idea, and that's what it is. So what Apple did or what Shy Day did was say, okay, the whole idea is the apple. The apple is the apple or gravity, if you will, is the idea. So and if you want to explain why the bite is out of the apple, DJ, or would you like me to do that? It's also
Well,
very important to logo design.
I like to add, this is where we like to interact with some of the participants, however. So I think you may have heard this presentation before, Bobby, but do you know why that there's a bite in the apple?
I don't recall.
Okay. I've heard some people say it's the bite of knowledge, since, the apple of day keeps the doctor away. But the
Mhm.
truth of the matter is when Melford was talking about a logo being on the side of a matchstick or a pen, or even really, really big on the back of your computer or anything like
Thumb
that.
drive that he just displayed.
Right. And it's what it signifies is that if you shrink it down that small, it could look like a cherry if it didn't
It
have a
will.
bite out of it. Since you don't bite cherries, you
Right.
bite an apple. So it gives you the little apple leaf with the shape of an apple versus a peach or anything like that. But you definitely know that it's an apple, but it's a bite to make it look like an apple when it's smaller. So it doesn't look like a cherry.
Right. And that's the absolute narrative that I recall about it now that you say
Mhm.
that. So I'll have
Yeah.
to remember that. So yeah.
Right. And that's
Yes.
the approach you want to take with a logo is to make sure you can res it down and it still be, sometimes people put a lot of little symbolisms around the logo and all kinds of things. And you just need to be able to shrink it down that small and be able to still see and read what it is.
Hmm.
Remember, simple is better so that it can be a
Absolutely.
lot more versatile.
Absolutely.
So we'll go into the next slide.
There's some more. These are just obviously the evolution of Shell, the evolution of Xerox, and you guys can see Shell, some of these brands stay true to what they, the core. Obviously, Shell still drills and gets oil from the ground, so they stay true to that core. New design, same thing with Xerox,
It used to be called Haloid Company.
right? And now we can see BMW, we see Mercedes. BMW has an interesting story that they have within their logo. The BMW started making airplane motors. So you remember we used to hit the propeller before the plane started, and you would see that little plane, that pattern develop in the spin of the wing. So I'm sorry, spin of the propeller. and that's synonymous in the BMW line. And BMW used to make boat motors, and you see that they still have the boat propeller still in their line of design work. So this is kind of the soul of what people keep in their brand.
We all know the Nike swoosh,
Right.
and Mercedes-Benz. Those are very common logos that we're all familiar with.
You see BMW's evolution and Nokia's evolution over time. So this is just a exercise in how design, you guys can see, moves over time. And if your brand isn't working, or if your brand evolves from maybe one service into 10 services, you may evolve the brand, if you will.
Right. And it's okay to change your logo. It's okay. Volvo we see here. Volvo actually has an interesting story too. They actually made a car for women, if you will. There's a hole in the back of the headrest, so for say a ponytail or something like that. There's also an area for you to rest your purse where it's not like in plain view. So they did a lot of things. Obviously, they're one of the safest cars, and now they are also pro-female. So the brand recipe.
It's really simple. It's really simple. Just reinforce your brand, using what we like to say is some of the soul, if you will. Like if you're a painter, or someone in real estate, you kind of seen the house, in front of the real estate logo done. Like, you need to be a little swanky, I don't know, have some je ne sais quoi, if you will, about designing these logos. So of course we want to have balance in the logo. It can't be offset. People recognize that, and they kind of something's off with the brand. You see these things. So be unique, be timeless. This all goes without saying. Timeless things are sometimes people jump into fads and use either terms like creating a name out of a fad time or something else. So try to stay away from that and give it like something that's timeless.
And try not to use trendy fonts, because what happens over time is it either becomes difficult to read, it won't transfer well into certain other media. So you just have to avoid those. And a font is supposed to be basically, if it's a word mark, it's supposed to be a font that you can't find on a computer to recreate it or anything like that. So using the fonts that are created by the computer adds to a little confusion.
That's part of the unique part. So sometimes people create these brands and they'll just use a standard font that they have in their system. And anyone can just go ahead and recreate that same thing just like that. They don't, it's like kerning, separation, like a lot of different things that you do, stretch your font out, do different things to make it actually unique. Well, it will not be able to be just typed out. It's a logo. It's art.
Right.
Be new. Toyota's interesting. Toyota, with their logo, they can spell out the entire word with their logo. It's basically an elliptical, and you see ellipticals used with Ford, and it's nothing new, right? It's an elliptical where we go around the sun. And you see it used, you see it in rocks, you see it in a natural form everywhere. So they're using it and to make their logo. Knockout, what we call negative space. You guys seen that in the FedEx logo. You can see it obviously here in the USA. You can make use of it in design, and in fact, Cascade uses it in the circle in their logo, the knockout. Kind of using there's like a small C in there inside the circle. I'm going deep on you guys.
Yes, created by none other than DJ
Absolutely.
Milford McRae.
And then, you also want to be aware of who your target market is, because you can't have a woman sell beer to a guy. He's just not going to buy it, basically. You can even look at the two examples that we have here, too, where Red Bull is supposed to be masculine, give you power, well, now they're talking about give you wings, but they talk about how powerful it is, where you look at the little other cow and he's just so cute, like a Chick-fil-A cow. So you kind of want to make sure you really focus to who your target market is. And I'm not sure, well, I'll leave that to the next slide. colors. That matters. They really, really matter. So, red, even this matters in marketers in the grocery store. All the kids' cereals are at kid levels. They got a bunch of colors, bunch of things going on. Kids at 18 months can recognize the McDonald's arches because of the bright yellow. And they're also, in the back seat, and the McDonald's thing is way up high. Mm-hmm. So definitely it matters. So green represents natural, purple represents intuitive, creativeness, yellow, intellect, optimism, cheer, as in Cheerios.
And I just add to that, DJ, that in America, we look at colors a specific way. In, like, let's say in Europe, in Japan, and other countries, they look at colors a little bit differently. Here, we use blacks synonymously with Black Sunday, and it's always like some negative tone. And let's say in Japan, when they go to funerals, they don't wear black, they wear white. So there's definitely different colors, like color theory actually is embedded in branding, and if you want to pitch and target specific people, you probably can't target a man using a lot of pink branding, things like that. So that actually really works. But in America, like I said, it's definitely a little bit different of color theory than it would be globally. So if you're going to, let's say, launch a toothpaste, you may want to think about how you use your colors in that brand or that country versus our country. That makes sense.
And this was just a fun slide that we put together. I'm sure you guys can recognize more than 10 to 12, maybe all of the logos.
And they all stand apart. And that's the real exercise here, is like whenever you create a logo, it should be able to sit next to a bunch of logos and still be able to recognize and see your logo plainly. It's using color theory, using shapes theory. You guys have seen that, and using obviously word marks, letter marks in fun and creative, exciting ways. You see ellipticals, you see squares, you see triangles, you see a lot of different things here. Word marks, you see letter marks, all the same thing, basically, that you saw in the presentation. So it's just a matter of taking these forms and making it into your brand, if you will. And with this brand guidelines that come with this logo, and sometimes it's like with us, we have Chick-fil-A as a client, they have so many colors involved in their branding. Is so much more than just the elephant. I mean, the cow, and it's so much involved in their branding. So
perfect printing every time. This is one of my biggest growing pains. Is a lot, especially with Canva. A lot of clients will come to us and say, "Oh, I need this, this, and that," or whatever. It might be a shirt, a booklet, something of that nature, and they'll send us a logo that they created on Canva. I will tell you now, Canva is not our friend, basically, because it does not give us the file outputs that we need to provide the printing services and the promotional services as well. So these are all a sample of image file formats. We're all familiar with probably a PDF more than anything, JPEGs, but these files they have images that are embedded in them, and they can't be separated. You can't stretch it without losing some. You'll get some pixelation or losing some of the fineness of the logo, basically. Or if you shrink it down so much, it looks like a big blob of dot or something. And you can kind of see the difference. What we use is actually called a vectored file. And you can see the differences where a raster file, which is probably something that you'll just create off of Canva, and then a vector file. And that has different layers to it. So all those colors are a different layer. They have lines that are redrawn. They have curves and all of that. So those can be stretched or minimized to still reflect the logo where you can still see it.
Yeah, raster plays within the computer space and creates these small boxes. And it's interesting. People create JPEGs and they use them all over the place. JPEGs are just meant to Joint Practice Engineers Group, I believe, is the standard for what the JPEG is. It's just a condensed version of a image file. It's meant to be small and low res and meant to be emailed. It's not meant to use to really be printing and go high res. You can't take something someone emailed you and actually blow it up to a billboard size. So JPEGs are interesting because you would have, let's say, a source file. People like to use the term master. I get that out of my tongue, but source file, and you take that source file and create little minions from that. Your JPEG is a minion. You can make your JPEG whatever size you want from your source file. So that JPEG can be a size that's meant to be used for a small little Zoom image, or you can take that JPEG and blow it up to be the size of a upright banner, or even the size of a billboard, outdoor billboard, if you will. That's a JPEG, but it will have to come from a source to be made that big. But you wouldn't really use a JPEG, and like DJ is saying, you'd use a vector. A vector can be as small as it needs to be, and you can just literally stretch it without losing any resolution to as big as you need to be. The files that you need to use to print are the ones that DJ's highlighting here. Your AI file, generally is called an Illustrator file. Your PDF file, those are offsprings from the Illustrator. PS is a Photoshop file, and the EPS file. Those are your standard 4-color print files that we use to do most work, like things like this, big billboards, posters, upright banners, even things like awards. And I think any of our printouts, we use high-res vector art.
So a lot of times we have to do a little bit of education for some of our partners, just so that they can understand the type of artwork that we need, where your product will look impeccable. So who we are, Bobby graciously gave us such a wonderful introduction. But this is a little bit about the brand. So LT Printing helps grow businesses, create lasting brand loyalty through the power of cost-effective printing and promotional items. It's a 37-year-old company. It has a history of that long. We offer ad specialty items and printing solutions. We're based in Georgia. We serve small to mid-sized businesses, government, municipalities, and nonprofit organizations. Our expert team puts you first, focused on offering unparalleled flexibility, choice, and branding potential, creating the exact promo product and print materials you deserve on time and within budget. We specialize in anything you desire, from PPE, that was a big thing a few years ago, mugs, pens, and wearables, as well as excellent printing options for your company letterheads, business cards, waste signage, and more. And those are the two owners right there. And these are some of our services. Obviously, I told you we have 4 capabilities that we focus in, which is print, promo, apparel, and signage. This is some of our media experience. These are some of the agencies that we've worked with and clients that we've worked with before. So even as Melvin was saying, his TBWA was shortened down to this as opposed to TBWA Shy Day. It was a long name. Most of them are names. FCB is even Foot Cone and Belding. It's 3 different groups. Arnell group is a name. Gentleman named Peter Arnell. Fallon is a name. So a lot of those guys started here. These are some of the accounts that we've worked on, from BMW, Nissan, Def Jam Recordings, Victoria's Secret, Apple, Macy's, Time. And these are some of the logo designs that we've created. The first one is a tax consultant. Fixed Sessions is a salon and spa. K&K Freight Solutions is a female-owned trucking company, and you'll see a little eagle in there between the pink and the gray. Jelani is a consulting agency. They have a plume as one of their images, so to talk about how they write. Crystal is a brand actually for Crystal. Bobby, actually our friend, for her oils, for her hair oils and everything. Mm-hmm. And then the wonderful logo of Cascade BMA, which puts an individual in the middle surrounded by businesses. Naomi is a cybersecurity company. Obviously, we wanted to use the shield to give them strength and trust. And Gordon's Automotive, a lot of red and yellow work rate in auto symbols, and it's also noticeable. And these are some of the partners, some of the work we've done with, from City of Atlanta, City of South Fulton, Fulton County, College Park, Hartsville Jackson, Gwinnett County, Chick-fil-A, Signia of Hilton, MARTA, Department of Energy and Environment, DC, as well as the wonderful ATL Airport Chamber. And you can all scan that QR code, and that should take you to our website. There's our phone number and our email addresses over there on the left side as well. And if there are any questions, we're welcome to take them.
Well, I tell you that this is wonderful. I can say that I have had the experience. And I remember with Milford, I just want my logo, and he took me through that process. And I was happy after. I wasn't so happy as we went through it, but I was so happy. And that logo is not the Legal Shield logo, everyone. It's the logo for my Rich Speaks Now company that I've had for over 30 years. And so I appreciate that. I think it should be like what we hear about Business 101. You should have a good CPA, you should have a banker. And also, again, what's the banker, CPA, and what's the other one?
Attorney.
Attorney.
The
Oh, look
attorney,
out.
yes.
All right. And what we should have also is this, your logo, because so many people are so excited about seeing their name in lights, but they don't understand the importance of this. And then so that you can progress, even though, as you said, DJ, you can change your logo, but it's where you begin. You don't want to fool around. Colors and being able to utilize them. So I'm repeating some of the things, but I've had this experience and I just wanted to share that. So thank you so much, both of you. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
One
very.
thing I'd like to add on that though too, I actually closed the screen, but when you're doing a logo, think about the colors. Like you saw that Gwinnett County has over 11 colors in their logo. When you're printing on apparel, each color is either a screen, a thread change, or a full color print, basically. So a lot of times you want to be careful with maybe going with one or two colors, maybe three at the most. Even LT Printing has 6 colors in its logo as well. But we figured since we're a printing company, we need to show out the colors as well. But just be careful about choosing an abundance of colors. Also, gradations in your logo as well. They don't always come across well when you're printing.
They don't translate into stitching. Sometimes you want to have a embroidery. Sometimes the gradation doesn't translate into a stitch. Sometimes even printing, it doesn't translate very well. So it's, all these things can be consulted.
And when you do come to us with a logo that might need a little bit of work, if we have to change it into a vector file, we'll definitely give you a little bit of that education as well, possibly even an update or a change to your logo.